with the US after Moscow received American proposals on a possible peace deal for Ukraine. President Vladimir Putin's foreign policy aide, Yuri Ushakov, held phone talks with several members of President Donald Trump's administration. The Kremlin says the proposals were delivered to Moscow by Putin's envoy Kirill Dmitriev after meetings in Miami and are now being analyzed. Both sides agreed to continue dialogue, but Moscow says public comment could harm negotiations. Local media reports suggest Putin may consider limited territorial swaps while seeking full control of the Donbass. The Kremlin declined to discuss details. All right, viewers, fresh developments now coming in with Putin sending a signal to Trump on the Ukraine proposals. And Kyiv residents, however, doubt Zelensky trim talks will bring any good change. I now request Mr. Keith Walls to join us in the discussion here. Thank you very much, Mr. Walls, for joining us here at NewsX World once again. What's your view of the latest statements from the Kremlin?
Well, what is interesting, first of all, can I say a very happy Christmas to the team.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Delhi.
Yeah.
Look, the Kremlin will keep making these statements.
Yeah.
They will keep coming to conclusions based on what is in the public domain. They are part of a quite separate process of negotiation that is occurring between themselves and the Americans. There is no direct link between the Kremlin and their discussions and what's happening in terms of Ukraine. It's quite a separate thing that's going on here. So what we need to discuss is how do we get everyone around the table so everyone actually knows where we are with these negotiations. As it currently stands, there is no clear pathway to a situation where the main protagonists are all sitting around the table.
All right. I would believe that I'm on the same page as you as far as the negotiations is concerned, because we've been observing since a couple of months the peace negotiations, and any outcome, if at all, has come out of it is very minimal. But for now, do stay on with us, Mr. Vaz, as we move ahead. Now, in Kyiv, viewers, residents say that they have little hope that renewed diplomacy will change the course of the war with Russia. The comments come as Ukraine's president says talks with Washington could move quickly. President Volodymyr Zelensky says he plans to meet US President Donald Trump soon, with key decisions possible before the new year. He says sensitive issues, including any territorial compromises, must be discussed directly by heads of states, and Kyiv is pushing for a face-to-face meeting. Let's listen in to what some of the residents have to say.
На жаль, вже дуже мало сподівань на те, що щось зміниться. В мене чоловік військовий, в мене брат військовий, тому ми сподіваємося, що щось зміниться, але тільки на нашу користь. Ніяких територій позбуватися і віддавати ми не хочемо.
Я думаю, що кардинально нічого не зміниться. Я думаю, що ці обстріли можуть ще продовжуватися, але я маю велику надію, що це буде вже не так інтенсивно і буде все поступово затихати.
Нам Штати, як гарант нашої незалежності та суверенітету по Будапештському меморандуму, як наші гаранти, вони нам все обіцяють, але що ми бачимо, це тільки тиск, обмеження розвідданих, обмеження використання західної зброї по території Російської Федерації.
All right, I now request Mr. Walz to join me back in the discussion here. Mr. Walz, it was Trump that had said earlier that he's apparently upset with Ukraine and also his European backers. You know, now Zelensky is hoping for good outcomes in the new round of talks. Do you see Trump being as receptive with his patience renewed with with Zelensky amid this, Christmas season?
Well, Donald Trump is angry and upset with everyone who does not agree with him. And as he controls the 24-hour news cycle with his announcements and his statements, he's going to be upset with anyone who doesn't say yes. But the Ukrainian president cannot say yes without the approval of the Ukrainian people. You cannot allow someone who has invaded your country just to take away land from that country. Now, as you know, a parallel negotiation is going on with Donald Trump's attempts to take over Greenland. He hasn't, I should say, as yet invaded Greenland. He's appointed an envoy. So that's the way diplomacy works. As a former Foreign Office minister, I keep reminding people, it's hard work being a diplomat. You have to discuss these things very, very carefully, negotiate every single point, and then bring it to the president.
Yeah.
It's unheard of to have these negotiations happening with the president actually leading them. This should be done by somebody else. So he's always going to be angry. He's always going to be upset. But what you said just now is interesting. The fact that Moscow wants to have a meeting again.
Yeah.
Remember, the last one was not particularly successful. Everyone was very unhappy with
Exactly.
the outcome.
Which is what my next question to you is going to be. Zelensky has said the new proposal and the format that's discussed after the meetings involves new formats of meetings. That's going to most likely have, most likely going to have a tri-party discussions, is indicated. Would you see Russia being ready to join such a format of the talks?
If Donald Trump is at the meeting, Vladimir Putin will go to the meeting because Donald Trump is his best friend. And therefore, I'm sure there can be, I mean, unless you get someone like the Pope intervening as a third party, it's difficult to know who in the world has not taken a position on Ukraine and Russia, either backing one side or the other. It's pointless having the Europeans in there because they are firmly on the side of Zelensky.
Yeah.
And to some extent, so is Trump. Not firmly, but formally, he's on their side. But at the end of the day, Russia will feel isolated unless he has somebody else in there. The best forum to discuss all this is the UN, because that's where the permanent members are. And that's where you have independent arbitrators. But they refuse to use the UN. They want to do all these negotiations themselves. And that's the failure of the UN to act effectively. So I think that Zelensky is not going to be enough. He's got to have Donald Trump at the meeting. I'm sure something's going to happen between now and the 31st of December, because as you know, he's promised to get this sorted, I think, within a month of becoming president. We're now going to be a year very shortly, and the Epstein files are coming out every day. So Donald Trump needs a rabbit out of the hat, so to speak.
Yeah.
And the only way to do this is to get peace in Ukraine. And of course, he also wants his Nobel Prize.
Yeah, sure. Well, I don't know. Zelensky has European Union. He also has a little bit of Trump's sympathy, but the war still seems to be tilted, and the peace negotiations seem to be tilted towards Russia's side still. So, well, interesting developments, as you would agree. But again, I request you to stay on as we proceed further in the bulletin. Now, Israeli emergency services say that a Palestinian assailant